This week's episode of Aussie Tech Heads is brought to you by Start New Company. Register your company immediately today with ASIC. ABN, TFN, GST registration is also available directly from the portal. Also set up your family trust and self-managed superannuation fund and more. All at startnewcompany.com.au. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/startnewco and keep an eye out for our regular specials. Start your new company now within 10 minutes of lodgement. All legal company documentation provided after registration. startnewcompany.com.au. And also brought to you by athwebhosting.com.au. All our servers are operating on SSD drives, immediate activation, SSL certificates, Aussie support, domain registration, and more. Easy install WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, and 300 other one-click installations. Generous space and bandwidth, auto backups, WordPress help and maintenance plans are also available on Contact. If your web page is important for your business or your life, contact us today. Aussie support, secure services, athwebhosting.com.au. And now for the show.
Welcome to episode 679 of the Aussie Tech Heads, recorded on the 30th of May 2020. I'm your host, Jason Oakley, and this is my co-host, Will Tompkinson. Hey, Will.
Hey, mate.
Good to see you back again. Seems like we were only here a few minutes ago.
At least episode 677, 678 or 679?
9.
Well, I better change that then. I swear I changed that. I already done this once, but it mustn't have updated. It's been one of those nights tonight where just pain and suffering ensues.
My computer is having trouble with the Wi-Fi. It really didn't want to do anything, dropping packets and halting and all sorts of craziness.
Yeah, but all you had to do was uninstall your Wi-Fi drivers and it works perfectly fine.
Yes. I went into the device manager and right-clicked on the Wi-Fi driver, hit uninstall, and that fixed it. So it obviously doesn't need one. It's just Windows is so sophisticated these days. It doesn't even need a driver. And
it's a new driverless PC. It's a new Tesla PC.
Oh, well, there you go. Thank you, Elon. You've done something good recently, I guess.
And then
Even though half the world hates you now because of... Anyway, we won't go into that.
Actually, have you seen there's a video they've just put up on CBS, I think it is, whatever, CBS Prime. Elon Musk and Jay Leno, and Jay Leno gets to drive the Cybertruck.
Oh,
and he's a cruiser.
How do you like it?
He loves it. He thinks it's great. There's a bit,
except for the launch day, I haven't heard anything about the Cybertruck anywhere in news or
it's made in a few bits and pieces. But it was funny because he's like, so why did you decide to make the glass bulletproof? And Elon Musk's like, so you don't want a bulletproof car? He's like, well, no, that's not what I was saying. He's like, well, there you go. That answers the question. Who doesn't want a bulletproof car?
Everybody wants it.
So then they took it through the boring tunnel, which was the test tunnel they did.
Oh, they completed that, yeah.
Yeah, so they took it through the boring tunnel, and it just fits. Like it's it's a bit wider than a Tesla. And then they took it to the elevator at the end, which takes them up to the top, and they don't literally just fit on the elevator. It's like Elon's like, we haven't put this through the tunnel yet. We don't actually know if it'll fit. And like you can see Jay's getting closer, and Elon's like looking out the window, like, yeah, I think you're good.
We're either going to make it or we'll die, but either way, it'll make good TV.
It was funny. But yeah, no, he's saying that the truck, pretty much as you see it, it's got to be made, I think he said 4% smaller or overall, because it's like just like 4% too wide to be classed as like to fit into a normal car garage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they're going to do that, but that's pretty much it. It's basically ready for production now, so they should be starting to roll out production soon.
Sweet.
Which should be cool.
When are you getting yours?
When our Patreon really, really takes off.
What's all this stuff up the top here?
In patreon.com/AussieTechHeads and twitter.com/AussieTechHeads and facebook.com/AussieTechHeads and AussieTechHeads.com and all those.
Yeah.
Aussie Tech, Instagram.com/Aussie Tech Heads on IG, on Instagram. Yeah. That's just all the places you can get a hold of us, and you
We're
can
everywhere, man.
give us money, and Patreon
I've
is...
been everywhere, man. I am everywhere, man.
I just figured
On
I'd
the
put it
Twitter, man.
Just figured I'd put it on the
And-
video just to make it easier to see, instead of having to go down to the link and look for it and find it, and then we forget to put it there and it's not there anyway. And
That's because all the people who've been contacting us all the time saying, how do we get to see all your other stuff and give you money?
well, that one email I got several months ago, I finally got around to answering because I've been so busy.
Oh, there you go.
But speaking of Patreon, Chris is still our primary supporter on Patreon.
Thank you.
It's there's several tiers there. You help us out, whichever one you choose. We love tiers. We're always in tiers.
Especially if people don't sign up, we'll be in more tiers.
But just you don't feel obliged to do so. But if you do, it definitely helps us out. We're not affiliated with YouTube or anything, so we don't make money on YouTube. We don't have paid sponsors, so any money that goes on there will actually go towards the show. It'll be invested in new hardware or new software or paying for hosting or whatever we need to do. So
Buying Warlock a new Wi-Fi
a
card.
new Wi-Fi card. Oh dear. So a couple of new LED lights for his green screen so that it works properly.
That would be good. I won't look so... Well, actually, I'm looking a bit green and
You
a
are
lot
actually
lighter
looking,
than you are.
You're actually looking pretty ordinary tonight.
There's no natural light here.
But yeah, so check us out on all the places, and don't forget to communicate with us and give us feedback and yell at us when we do stuff wrong, because it all makes us feel better in the long run.
I can comment and stuff.
That's it. It all helps. It really does. It's just knowing that people are listening makes a big difference. Of course, we are streaming. It is actually it's Sunday, idiot. It's Saturday night currently.
Feels like it.
As you can tell by the time and date on the screen, which is why I put it there. Not hiding anything from you. This is when we're recording. We're supposed to be Thursday night. We didn't, because Warlock got a special feature that he's going to unveil later. But stopped us from doing it Thursday night. But decided to do it tonight, and the techs are against us tonight, but we're persevering.
We'll make it. Don't you worry about that.
We're determined to do the one a week thing, because as a Patreon supporter, you're paying for 4 episodes a month, so we're going to give you 4 episodes a month.
Whether you like it or not.
But yeah, you're going to have 4
Take
episodes a
that.
month, and you don't have a choice about it.
That's what you get.
And if you don't watch it, I'm going to come around to your house, and I'm going to shove the USB drive down your throat.
Rip your bloody arms off.
Who's that? Who was that?
Auntie Jack.
Auntie Jack, that's right. It was Auntie something. That was funny.
So what I've been up to lately is making a Spectrum game using the multi-platform arcade game designer software. Been helping them upgrade it and put in new features and stuff. And I made this cool little game called Cory Coolbrew. It's a platformer for Spectrum computers. And if you've got a Spectrum or an emulator that's got the AY chip in it, there's a nice tune there made by Mike Richmond.
Yeah, it's not bad.
We actually, I was doing a search today on the name Cory Coolbrew, and it turned up that we were mentioned in a podcast for video game music. And Mike tells me he's in an interview in the next episode that's coming out soon.
Oh, nice.
But you can see there's some robots going up and down. Some go sideways, and some actually, those red ones there, will home in on you and chase after you if you get to near where they are. So there's some that go up and down that do the same thing.
Is diagonal a thing you can do?
Not built into it. You could easily program it. I just haven't done any diagonal stuff.
Yeah. I was just curious if it was like, because I know obviously it would have to, the way it would handle the sprites and stuff would be like, it would be very blocky.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Well,
inherently.
it moves pixel at a time. So at the moment,
okay.
you just say it uses a very basic style commands to write stuff. So anyone could do it, even if kids have learned Scratch or something like that. It would be simple, because it's just like, if sprite can go right, go right. So if you want to do diagonal, you go, if sprite can go right and sprite can go up, then go right.
Okay,
And it'll
cool.
go diagonal now.
Nice.
And much later, you haven't seen a robot that's in there that actually goes up and down ladders after you as well. So
Ooh, AI.
AI, well, it's kind of fake AI. They just randomly move around, but all the other ones have got a bit of AI
It's
in
like
there.
Pac-Man
just for
AI.
fun. So you get that if you go to bluebilby.com, which is my retro computer website that used to say this is the site for all stuff VZ, and then it's like, oh, okay, well now we've got some Spectrum. Oh, we might do some Commodore 64 in the future, so I updated the site today to do that. But if you scroll right down, you'll be able to see a link there for Corey Coolbrew on my itch.io, and you can download it there. I've had uploaded the game 9 hours ago, and it's got 63 views and 16 downloads so far, so not doing too bad.
They're no linky, by the way.
Should be where it says itch.io down there.
Yeah, it doesn't
It's
work.
a highlighted link.
It does. Okay, it doesn't work. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's a heck of a
No,
thing, isn't
it's
it?
working now. It just had to think about it for like 12 minutes. Welcome to
yeah, it should come up.
welcome to the wonderful world of internet.
Yeah, technology. So yeah, you can see it there, and if you like it, throw in a few bucks. And if you don't want to hear from you. Well,
Just hand out money to everybody while you're at it.
yeah, it's great though. How about you? What have you been up to? Having fun and games?
Yeah, just it's just been a weird week. We're still suffering from desert weather. Hasn't figured out what if it's winter yet. We're still getting. I got the fan on and the aircon on tonight. It's stupid. It was 29 degrees or something today. It was 4 degrees last night, and it's still like 22 or something now. So it's just like it's who knows what's
Crazy
going on.
all over the place.
But yeah, no, I just working and working, a bit more working. And when I'm not working, I'm working.
Yeah, always got something on.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I had a bit of a crazy sore throat for the last few weeks, so I went and saw the doctor, and he's like, "Well, I can't see anything. Normally, we'd send you to an ENT, but they've all shut down because of COVID. So you can have a CT scan." So I went to the hospital yesterday and got a CT scan. So I don't know if they'll see anything from that, but we'll find out later this week, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's
They're like, to get a really good scan, we can inject some dye into you. Now, most people don't die from this injection, so it's probably okay. But you don't know if you're allergic to it unless we inject you, and then we find out that when you die that you're allergic to it. So it's like, I'll tick the box that says no.
they don't generally. Yeah, they don't. You don't even if you are allergic to it, you normally don't die from it. They have to be pretty bad.
Well, I was at the hospital anyway, so
yeah, I mean you're in the best place for it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
should we do some noose?
Noose, let us noose.
From Noose Ahead.
Did you hear that they're I don't know if you know Noosa is effectively pure tourism. Like there's no.
Yeah, we went there on holiday like 10 years ago.
Yeah, there's really no local infrastructure. Everything's tourist based. I was reading a thing the other day saying that they're actually effectively shut down. That there is no tourism. The town's basically closed now.
Yeah.
Wow. There's nothing happening. Like there's no nothing. So they're going to struggle a lot apparently.
Yeah. A lot of stuff will be opening up this weekend, so maybe that'll help them a bit.
Well, at work we were going to start opening back to our regular trading hours, including Saturday and longer hours during the week. Yep. Last week was so dead that I think we're not going to bother yet. It was that dead that we just there's no point. There's nobody, no spending, so there's no point opening.
No customers, yeah. Well, the NBN has announced new speed tier bundles available to retail service providers, your telco, who purchase access to the network to sell onto their customers, i.e. you. The new residential speed tiers include a tweaking of the current 100 megabits per second offering, a 250 megabits per second tier, and one delivering speeds of almost 1 gigabit per second. But the speeds aren't the most exciting part, perhaps spurred on by a claim from former Prime Minister that no one needs a connection over 25 megabits.
Yeah.
Some have questioned the need for faster internet speeds, especially ones that approach the 1 gigabit per second mark. The new upgrades to the NBN also include increased capacity that should hopefully put an end to speeds being slowed and connections dropping out when too many people are using the network at a time. NBN Co said it plans to over-provision the new speed tiers and do same for existing ones over the next few months to give people a better chance of actually achieving the advertised speed of the internet plan you pay for. The company already increased capacity for telcos after the great work from home migration of late March, where huge numbers of office workers shifted to their homes, bringing their business traffic into residential plans with them. Communications Minister Paul Fletcher said the NBN had proven its worth during the pandemic. Over the last few months, the NBN has been the digital backbone of productivity, social cohesion, and connectivity, with more Australians than ever before relying on the NBN to connect, work, and learn from home. NBN Co successfully managed this increased traffic by working constructively with the industry and its customers to help them adapt to the changing environment. This sudden change in how we use the internet, as well as more gradual changes over the past several years, make it a good time to bring faster speeds to market, according to NBN Chief Customer Officer Brad Whitcomb. So yes, I did the thing. I'm with Aussie Broadband, who are one of the first to offer the new 1 gigabit per second speeds. I was paying $99 a month for 100 meg down. Now I'm paying $149 for up to 1 gigabit per second down. I have to plug in an actual computer into the router to find out if the speed is actually being achieved. But testing from my Orbi router, which can show up to about 500 megabits per second, does show around 500, so that's good. Wi-Fi, of course, has its own limits. It can only do up to about 400, even on the AC. So I can get up to about 400 on the desktop computer. And with two people in the house streaming and watching programs and all that sort of stuff, and Twitch, YouTube, and Netflix, and all that, we can have 400 megabits per second each over the Wi-Fi, and that's plenty enough to go around. So really enjoying it. I was watching it all on Whirlpool, or as we call it, Winepool website forums, when it was coming around to the time that it was going to be launched at 3 p.m. Friday afternoon, which is a fantastic time to launch products just before the weekend. Their website, Aussie Broadband's website, went down several times, even cached through Cloudflare, couldn't keep up with it. Their app, my Aussie app, kept on saying, oh, you have to ring up to get your upgrade done. And then they got that fixed, and it was only saying you could get up to 250 meg down. So ended up ringing up, got through within like 3 or 4 minutes to a customer service, said, can I please have the gigabits? That was literally what I said. So the guy had a good laugh. He's like, yeah, okay, we'll just go through proving who you are. Yep, we've enabled that. Give it half an hour and Bob's your uncle. So that was it. All well and good. And the Whirlpool page is up to probably about 200 pages worth of stuff just on that one topic at the moment. But everyone's really enjoying the new speeds and really good pricing for unlimited super fast internet.
I just checked on mine, and the fastest I can get here is the 140, which is what I'm on. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So,
yeah, there's you'll only get it if you've got HFC. I think you can do up to 250, and NBN to the house, fiber to the premises, can get the 1 gigabit, but nothing else can. And as it says in a lot of the news stories, the majority of Australians on NBN are on fiber to the node, which will go to about 25 megabits a second, maybe 50 if you're really good. And some will get fiber to the curb. They're just going to get bugger all, really.
Yeah, well, I was just looking now. I was just going back looking at seeing if I could find my plan, but I don't think even our exchange is on fibre.
No. There was a link that they gave us to check what your exchange would connect to. My exchange is up in Coffs Harbour, which is interesting. Point of POI, they call it. And it said on there enabled for 1 gigabit per second high speed class 4 or something, I think it said.
Oh, and get it at work.
Yeah.
I might sign work up to it.
There you go.
Doesn't actually say, though. It says 140, then it's got the 250, 25, and then it just says the home ultra fast, but it doesn't actually say which.
Yeah, they branded it ultra fast for the 1 gigabit per second. Everything else is only super fast. And super's not as good as ultra, Mr. T. That's why they've got that character Ultraman who can take on Superman, right? What?
So yeah, so I need to. I might just let work pay the extra. How much is it?
Yeah.
$149. I think we're paying $99. It's an extra $50.
Yeah.
I don't know.
$50 is worth it.
I mean, work will pay for it.
You could just claim it on tax.
Yeah. No, work will actually pay for it.
Yep.
Like I'll just put on their credit card, they can pay for it.
Yeah.
Hey, Raiders, how you doing, buddy? So yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's going to be interesting to see once a lot of people take it up. How stupid webcam don't
Gone fuzzy again.
How the infrastructure and the backbone handles it. That's going to be.
It was quite interesting when a lot of people were saying on the forum, the representatives from Aussie Broadband are on Whirlpool, and they're like, "Sorry guys, we actually didn't think it would be this much demand." And everyone's like, "Maybe you should tell the communications minister of your problems with so many people signing up." When they said hardly anyone would ever be interested in internet faster than 25 megabits a second.
Well, this is the other thing too. Like, I love the way that NBN's like, "Oh, we've rolled out extra infrastructure to handle it," but infrastructure based on whose calculations?
Yeah.
And how much extra?
Yeah.
Like, is it just like?
And what about our links overseas?
Is it just like 3 extra squirrels they've got on standby, or what have they got going on? So, and whose calculations decided how many extra people they're going to have? Because if it's the same people who calculated the demand that they thought they were going to have, well, they're still going to fall miles short anyway.
Yep, exactly.
So,
I guess it all remains to be seen. Just hope if you're on HFC, not too many people in your network sign up at the same time for the fastest.
Yeah, it's only going to. It'll be interesting mainly with things like office blocks and unit houses and stuff like that, where you've got multiple people in the one location. I think that's going to be a real test to see how it performs. I don't know if it's going to matter, like around here, even if we had an exchange that could handle it, we're predominantly in an older person area, so I can't see that many people, maybe a few of the businesses, and maybe like there's a housing estate over there that's just going in that's going to have younger people in it, but predominantly it's a older person area. So as a rule, you're not going to have that throughput traffic,
Yeah. That's why you move, because you're one of the older people, right?
Oh, but I feel like it today, I tell you. I'm exhausted. I'm struggling to keep my eyes open. It's like 9 o'clock tonight, and I'm like, I got to do a show now.
We have to do a show now? Are you kidding me?
It's bad when you lay on the floor to play with your kid, and then it takes you 14 minutes to stand back up again.
It's like those YouTube videos with the guys going, "Oh, just go get the snags off the
Viva La Dirt League." If you haven't seen the Viva La Dirt League skit of the what happens when you turn 30, it's hilarious. You need to check it out. I'll play it after the show for those people who are on the stream, but it's definitely worth a watch.
Over to you for some news.
Some news. I suppose I can do that. Now, we all know of a little person, hardly unknown, very underwhelming person called Linus Torvalds. He didn't do much at all, He only completely changed the way we look at programming and programs and open source and
His
public
operating
domain.
system's running on half the internet.
Yeah, exactly. But basically, there's one of the most famous programs in the world, father of Linux operating system, maker of the universal Git distributed version of control system. He also
and
bundles.
He likes the Ryzen Threadripper, does he?
Also bundles developer workstations. Recently upgraded his PC to a speedy AMD Threadripper 3970X based processor. Torvalds revealed when he used his latest programming PC. Total price $3,500, which is basically what I paid for mine. But yeah, so you can buy he's got his product list on Amazon, so you can literally go through and you can actually buy the exact computer that he's using to do all his stuff on. It's a full list of. It's actually very similar to my computer now that I'm looking at it.
What's his motherboard?
He's running Fedora.
He's running Fedora.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have necessarily picked that.
No.
But that's
What's his
same,
motherboard?
same memory I've got, same hard drive I've got, same power supply. I don't have that. Same case I've got. Noctua. I've got a Noctua Cool, not that one, but a different one. Gigabyte TRX 40. That's actually the same board I'm running. The only difference is I don't have the Threadripper. I've got the 39, I think it's like 3965 or something. It's the model immediately before the Threadripper. Other than that, it's basically exactly the same as the system I've got. Who would have thought? But yeah,
hang on. Are you really Linus
Yes,
Torvalds?
I'm so good at Linux that I don't even know I can use it. But that's interesting. I hadn't actually looked at that list before. I just saw the story. I thought the story was interesting that, in these times he's decided to upgrade his computer and you can see what he's upgraded to,
When you brought up that page and I saw the Threadripper, I thought that was an ad and you're about to say, Linus Torvalds has just updated his Linux with this new feature or something. And then you're like, no, it is the Threadripper.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was just an ad stuff. You go to a news page, it's got like 2 sentences and then 50 ads that take up the rest of the site.
Yep. No, he actually had a it's interesting to watch. It's like 3 hours or so interview he did on ZDNet. They got it up on their website. You can go and look at it and watch it. It's quite interesting. But he talks a lot about everything he's up to and what he's doing, and he's writing Linux 5.7 release candidate 7. And he's saying for the first time in 15 years, his desktop isn't Intel based. This is the first AMD he's had in 15 years.
Oh, wow.
He said he got it because it's just so insanely powerful that nothing Intel can even remotely come close.
AMD's getting back to where it used to be.
It's coming. It's called Threadripper for a reason. Like its processing ability is far superior. It's a 32 core. It's using the 7 nanometer cores. It's got 88 PCIe 4, 90% faster than the closest i9 1090 or 10980 or whatever it is, the high end Intel. Yeah, it's 90% faster than that. It's just like performance wise. Everybody I know, like you listen to any of the Twitch streamers, you listen to any of the video editors, the game creators, the renderers, they're all running Threadrippers now just because they're so damn powerful.
Oh, wow. I have to read up some more about them.
Yeah, and as I said, my board supports a Threadripper, but I went for the model immediately before the Threadripper because it was like my CPU is like $300, I think. And then the Threadripper was like $1,200. There was like this jump.
I thought you were going to say 8 or something.
No, it was a massive jump between them, which is why I stuck with the.
I was nearly going to go Ryzen when I got my computer, but a couple of years ago when I got it, they were having some problems reported with the Ryzen. They've obviously fixed them and going crazy now, but. So I got the i7 instead, but Ryzen sounds really good, especially the Threadrippers.
Because there's a 39, I think it's a 3950 and a 3970. 3970 is the new one that's just come out. It's 18. Actually, I was understating it. It's 1800 US.
Whoa.
So yeah, it's a little expensive, but the thing is, you buy it, you're done. You don't need. It's going to be 10 years before you're going to need to buy another system. Yeah. So whilst it sounds like a lot of money, it is a lot of money, but you might spend, as I said, mine's a $3,500. That's including the graphics card and everything else. It's $3,500 PC, so it's going to cost you say $4,500. But if it's a 10-year PC and you're using it for what it's designed for, it's not really that much of a stretch to.
You're not buying a $3,500 PC to do Facebook and check emails.
No, and I mean look at the size of the processor. I mean,
Wow.
that's nearly as big as the palm of your hand. Like, it's insane. You know, that's why I can do. They've got so much. They've just gone. No, we don't need to worry about size. It's just, the size thing's not a issue anymore because everything else is so small. There's so much room on the board. We can get away with putting such a big processor in there now. You know.
Yep.
So. Yeah, the 3970 and the 3960. Yeah, the 3960 I think is only about $800. Yeah, only because it's
US.
yeah, because it's like it's few less cores. I think it's like 24 cores or something instead of 32.
Yeah.
But yeah, you look at all the benchmarks on it. And the benchmarks on some of the benchmarking software, the benchmark it goes completely off the chart because the benchmarking software can't handle the power of them.
They need to write new ones.
You know, they got the 3960, which is $1,400 US, so it is a bit less. It's a 24 core, 48 thread, 3.8 gig with a 4.5 gig boost, 140 meg cache, which is insane. And it's 100 meg clock speed. The 3960. Just trying to see the specs on it, but yeah, I can't.
Remember when they had 1 meg caches and that was pretty cool?
Well, I remember when they had 640K, then they brought out the L2 cache, and it was like, a 2 meg L2 cache, and you're like, whoa, 2 meg of level 2.
Wow.
Never going to use that.
No.
But yeah, I just thought it was. I just thought it was really cool that that's the guy who has been a staunch Intel developer. Hence the reason Linux traditionally never worked well on AMD devices because it was developed specifically for Intel devices on Intels for Intels. I just find it great that this guy who's used Intels basically his whole career suddenly discovered AMDs again.
And Fedora.
Yeah, I know that was interesting.
Why? Why? I want to read up and find out why he's using Fedora.
Yeah.
I mean, I know why I would use it. I want to know why he would use it.
Yeah, that's what I thought was interesting. Like, out of all the things you could use, Fedora seems like traditionally, I guess, but I sort of in your head, you ping him as like a Red Hat or a, like a traditional Ubuntu or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of smaller computers, the Raspberry Pi Foundation has doubled the maximum amount of RAM available in the Raspberry Pi 4 to 8 gigabytes, with the new device selling for $75. To take advantage of the RAM increase, the Foundation is also releasing a new 64-bit version of its operating system in early beta. The new Raspberry Pi 4 is otherwise identical to the device that was announced in June last year, meaning it has the same ARM-based CPU and HDMI, USB 3, and Ethernet ports. 8 gig is a lot of RAM, considering the Raspberry Pi's size and price. It's the same as many flagship smartphones released this year, and enough for an entry-level gaming PC. The Raspberry Pi Foundation says the additional memory should be useful for compiling large pieces of software, running heavy server workloads, or maybe just having more browser tabs open at once. We're sure that it won't take long for the community to come up with many interesting users. To take full advantage of the increased amounts of RAM, the Foundation is also releasing a 64-bit version of its Raspbian operating system in early beta, renamed to Raspberry Pi OS. The Linux-based operating system currently uses 32-bit kernel, which means it can't fully use the 8 gig of RAM. If you'd rather not run beta software, there are other 64-bit OSs available for the Pi 4, like Ubuntu and Gentoo. As well as the new 8 gig model, the Raspberry Pi 4 is available with 4 gig and 2 gig RAM for $55 and $35 respectively.
Yeah, and don't forget too, they've still got all the traditional stuff out. They've still got the Pi Zero on the W and the Bs and the Pi 3s.
And they're damn
the Pi
good
2s.
for running emulators and old software and.
They really are. Like, I mean, I use even though they call it underpowered, I've got a Pi Zero W running my Octoprint server for my 3D printer. I'm going to buy another one.
Need?
I mean, you can't. Okay, The reason they're underpowered is because it's using a software-driven Wi-Fi card.
Yep.
The same as back in the day, you used to get what they called a Win modem, which if you had a slow computer, you'd try to use the modem and it would make the computer even slower because it was doing the processing work of the modem.
Yep.
It's the same thing with the Pi Zero. The Pi Zero itself is plenty fast enough, but if you are constantly hitting the network, it will really slow the performance down. So you can't use it for, say, running Octopi plus the webcam software. It won't do it. It's not powerful enough. But if you just want to use it as the Octoprint server, it's perfectly fine. And for $18 or whatever it is,
yep.
You know, it's the cheapest way to run a print server. So I've got one for that, and I've got one I'm in the middle of setting up for my little mini CNC router thing that I got the other day.
Yep.
And I've got an original. I thought I had an original Raspberry Pi, which was, where's that gone now? That's interesting. That I was using for, here we go, an original Raspberry Pi in one of the original cases you used to be able to get them back in the day.
Yep.
This thing has copped a flog, and it's run overclocked its entire life. It's run hot. It's just, oh man, poor thing. But
Still going.
It's running. I'm in the process of installing my home automation software on this so that I can incorporate, you know, obviously Google Home does some stuff and Alexa does some stuff and Siri does some stuff and whatever the Microsoft one is does some stuff. But this one, I'm using there's actually software developed in India that incorporates all of those APIs and puts them into one piece of software so that they can all interwork with each other. So the device that would normally only work, say you've got a proprietary lights or you've got proprietary things that would only work with that manufacturer, they've got them figured and they have it all running through one piece of software so that it can be, you can use your phone instead of having, say, a home mini a Google Mini in every room. You can use the speaker, the microphone on your phone, have this hooked up as your server, and communicate with this via your phone and have full automation throughout the house.
Nice.
So, and apparently, this is the original Pi A, not even the Plus. This is like 128 mega RAM.
Yep.
And like a 700 meg processor. And apparently, this is actually overpowered for what that piece of software requires. That's how well they've developed it.
Oh, nice.
So you can pick these up for like $4 now.
We look forward to your YouTube video, your new home automated system when it's ready.
All I need is somebody to go to work for me so that I can still get money and spend time at home to actually get all this stuff
You
up and
already
running.
said you got no customers. What's your excuse?
Yeah, but I get paid to go to work regardless. I get paid salary whether the customers come in or not. So I need somebody just to go and open the shop for me for the day so I can spend it at home and do other stuff. But no, that's cool. Like, memory has always been one of the issues with the Raspberry Pis for running bigger stuff like servers or storage devices, things like that. Even using them as far as a game server like a Minecraft server or something like that, the processors have always been powerful enough, but they haven't had enough memory to do it. With the 8 gig option now, it really does open up. Even if you think about it, for example, arcade emulation. The processor is more than strong enough to run 3 or 4 emulators at the same time, but you haven't had the memory to do it. If you've got, especially with Linux now, you could have 8 gig of RAM, so you could have 4 emulated 2 gig arcade servers. So you could actually literally have 4 people playing arcade games at the same time using one device.
Yep.
So it's going to become a really cheap way of doing a lot of that sort of stuff now. Even for, like, okay, for your kid to do the homework effectively, they need to do web browsing and they need to do a Word document. That's like all they need to do, which they can do in Google Docs anyway.
Yep.
So now this $80 credit card becomes a powerful enough PC for them to use as, you know, a daily computer they can use to do their homework, and then on the weekend they get to use the your computer for gaming or whatever. So it's a really cheap option for even like workshops is another example. I've got an old I can't remember, it's not a Pi, it's a whatever this thing is. I can never remember what they're called. Nano Plus, Nano Pi, something like that. I've got one of those running in the shed just with an old 14-inch LCD monitor I had kicking around, and it, when I need to look up workshop manuals or I need to look up components or quickly order something off eBay, that it does that perfectly fine. It won't do anything. It won't even play YouTube videos. It's not even powerful enough to do that. But it'll do all this other stuff fine, you know. So for workshop situations where you've got, especially in a destructive environment where you've got a lot of fumes or you've got a lot of dust or debris floating around and it's destructive on systems, having the option to have a $30 or $40 effectively PC that can be very quickly, you know, you literally throw a SD card in it, so you have a stack of SD cards sitting there with ready to go. You have a few
or
of these sitting on the
USB.
desk.
You were saying,
Yeah, I'll get to that. And you literally like, okay, this is dead now. It's been there for 3 months. It's full of dust and dirt and crap. Just chuck it out. Get another one. Don't even waste time. It's not worth wasting the time or the energy or the effort on trying to fix it. You literally, they become. I hate disposable and throwaway society, but they are, for that sort of money, it literally becomes a disposable item. It is cheap enough that can be the case.
yeah,
And yet light enough they can be powered by a USB battery pack for a day. So for people who are on site tracking, you know, doing GPS logging and doing all sorts of stuff, they're a perfect solution. And yes, the new update to the new 60, as far as I know, it's only with the 64-bit OS. I haven't fully read into it. I just sort of quickly looked at it. But it does allow, finally, USB booting of thumb drives rather than fiddly dicking around with SD cards.
Tell us what you really think, Mr. T.
Always, right from the very first version of the Pi, the most annoying thing about it has been trying to get reliable, like, readers and writers for SD cards that don't screw it up somewhere along the line. Like, even I've got 2 different SD writers for the computer, and between writing to the card and putting it into the Pi, it only works about 1 in 5 times. Especially with the newer micro SDs, because then you've got to go through an adapter to make it work, and then you've got such small pins on the board that it's so easy to get a bad connection, and they're just. Plus, you also have limited read and writes on an SD card, so every time you're booting off the card, you're adding a stress load to the card that's not designed to do. Thumb drives don't have connection. I mean, once again, they're still limited read write because they're still using solid state memory, but you don't have limited connection. You don't have the connection issues that you have with SD cards. They're a positive connection. They physically fit in there. They don't fall out easy. They can take a decent abuse. Plus, the cards themselves are more robust, not susceptible to static electricity discharges, that sort of stuff.
Yep.
But the biggest thing about that is you can use and I've actually got one sitting here. You can use a hard drive caddy with a USB cable and an old laptop hard drive that you've got laying around and plug it in, and then you can plug that into your Pi, and you can have not only removable storage, but a physical, whether it's a spinning disk like this one or whether it's an SSD, you can have unlimited storage, fast booting, reliable booting, so it really opens up the possibilities for making a Pi much more flexible in the real world. So yeah, that'll be good. It'll be good, and then that price will come down. It's a brand new release, so it's $85 US or whatever it is. That'll come down in a couple of months' time. They'll be $50 by Christmas. So
Problem.
It's going to be good. It's good.
Australian-made electronic payments platform EFTPOS has fired off a major pricing broadside in its battle to challenge MasterCard and Visa's entrenched systemic hegemony over contactless debit payments, halving its interchange fee clip to just 2 cents a throw for smaller merchants who route via a local scheme. The move, which will take effect from the 1st of July and broke cover after EFTPOS necessarily flagged the change with regulators, comes on the back of the continued COVID-19 economic slowdown and a sustained push by struggling merchants to get their banks to route tap transactions onto cheaper payment rails. Debit transactions made over EFTPOS infrastructure currently carry a flat interchange fee of 4 cents, but this will fall in the new financial year to just 2 cents, thus substantially strengthening the case for banks to more heavily promote the least cost routing, LCR, which has been vigorously opposed by Visa and MasterCard. The bank fees bank charge merchants for payment facilities have come into sharp focus during the COVID shutdown, with most banks now essentially parking recurring fees like terminal rental, merchant service, and account keeping fees for businesses that are not trading or in hibernation. What's much less known is the big hygiene push to get customers to tap for transactions has created an overnight bonanza for multinational credit card schemes, Visa and MasterCard, because they, in conjunction with banks, route most contactless debit transactions down to their own credit rails. The big hygiene windfall will likely be turbocharged by major grocery retailers, bumping the pin-free ceiling for tap transactions up from $100 to $200, as revealed in April. Transaction routing costs remain a red-hot issue for merchants, but it's shopkeepers who wind up wearing the costs of card acceptance, one of the reasons lower-margin businesses attempt to claw back fees through card surcharges or refuse to accept the likes of American Express. Initially a point solution for lower value transactions at quick service restaurants, example Macca's, vending machines and so-called unattended purchases like pay at pump for fuel, contactless transactions, usually without a PIN, have now grown to become the norm. I've always done that. I love that. I could do contactless with my card, contactless with my Android phone, contactless with my Fitbit watch. All of these things I can just use and go bing, pay for things. So it's really good.
Yeah, I do the same thing with I got Google Pay and I've got my ING Pay as well, and I can use it on my phone. But as somebody who uses as a retailer, we use EFTPOS all the time, but we use Tyro.
Mm-hmm.
We've been going through Tyro for quite a while. Now it's $30 a month to rent the machine, which you're going to pay pretty much no matter where you go. Some places offer cheaper machines, but they charge more in fees. But the thing is, there's they're such a low rate compared to other banks. Like they don't charge you 4 cents or whatever. They charge 1% on all the cards is what they charge.
Yep.
Except for American Express, I think, which is like 4%, but that's charged by American Express.
Yep.
And the thing is, like they charge 1.1% because the actual cards themselves charge 1%. So they're charging 0.1% for their cut of the transactions. So if you work that out over, I guess it depends on what if you've constantly got sales over $1,000, well, okay, it's probably cheaper to pay 4 cents, but for the average small business, paying 1% is a lot less. But the thing is, a lot of people go, "I'll pay by EFTPOS. It'll save you the fees." You're like, no, it still costs the same, whether it's EFTPOS or Apple Pay or Google Pay or Samsung Pay or whatever it is. It's just 1.1% regardless.
Yep.
So we've been using Tyro for a long time, and that's part of the reason. They just work. They don't seem to suffer from the outages that a lot of bank-specific ones do. It's almost like the banks every couple of weeks do an update and forget about their EFTPOS machines, and their EFTPOS machines don't work for 2 days.
Yeah.
Tyro don't seem to have that problem. They seem to, if the bank goes down, they cache the transactions, and then once it comes back online, they process them all. And you've got a guarantee, even if somebody pays on a card that would normally be rejected, you get a guaranteed payout. Then they chase the person themselves.
Yeah.
So you get the money regardless. And yeah, no, they're really good. I like dealing with them just because they're easy to deal with. They were having issues with their earlier terminals because they were bound by what the market had, but the last lot of terminals they bought out, they've actually designed and developed themselves. and they've been very reliable. So
Brilliant.
yeah, no, it's a hidden fee that a lot of people don't think about. Transaction costs, whether you're using Tyro, whether you're using PayPal, whether you're using Stripe. You know, there's several different variations, but they all cost money. You know, there's no way around that unless you're dealing in cash, and nobody wants to do that these days, apparently.
No.
So, here's a bit of a fun story. I shall find the right page and then I'll switch to it. This guy, right here, is making a miniature IBM 1401 scale model, scratch built, no 3D printing parts allowed.
Sweet.
He's it's part of a diorama made of polystyrene mostly. He makes everything by hand.
Looks really nice.
It's the 1401s from 1959. It's considered to be the first successful mass-produced computer. He's been working on this diorama since Christmas to celebrate its 60th anniversary. This slot here is actually the CPU.
Yep.
It's the close-up of the CPU and the transistor card. It didn't have a dedicated processor like modern computers. It's made up of thousands of single transistors built on what they call an SMS card that were all wrapped by hand. The whole unit was what consisted of the processor. And there's the reference. That's the reference picture of the real unit. You can see over on the right hand side there the CPU card that's pulled out with all the mechanical wiring. Yeah, so that's how he does it. Just polystyrene and Sharpies and knives and tape and stuff, super glue.
It must take forever.
So he's been working on it since Christmas so far. But you can see behind him there's the old, you can see the reel-to-reel memory storage. We call them hard drive. They'll tape drives, reel-to-reel tape drives. And that's where you stored your data. It looks just, I mean, to give you an idea, that's black bit in the background there, it's a bit hard to see, but that's a screen off an oscilloscope. So it's like, shows you how small this thing is.
Yeah.
But this is what a lot of people don't realise. What you're seeing here is what went to the moon.
Yep.
All this mechanical wiring and mechanical memory and processing power. This is what went to the moon. It's it's mind blowing that somebody made that worked.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and they got back.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. There's a thing on YouTube I was watching a few months ago. It was a restoration of I think it was the memory module from Apollo. The original one. Let's see if I can quickly find it. But yeah, here we go. And you sort of see. Where are we? You can see, like, it's literally all this mechanical things, and these guys are restoring the. Where is it? I've got a picture of it here somewhere. Yeah, see if I can find it. So, like, these are the memory modules that over the years the copper wires have corroded through. Logic module number 1, logic module A3, logic module A2. So what they've actually done is they've actually split these logic modules open. They've gone inside them, and they've actually, there's a good shot of what you're looking at inside. This is wire crossing wire, converting analog signals into digital signals, and you know, this is your 1 plus 0, you know, your yes and your no commands. Yep. That's what you're looking at. It's an analog way of doing that. And these modules have deteriorated to the point where, they literally had to crack them open and go in there and physically resolder and recreate. And but not only that, they had to wire trace. Look at that. They had to wire trace this because there's no schematics of this anymore.
Yep.
They had to figure out what command, what yes, no command made what trigger make what happen. And they had to do this hundreds and hundreds of times because this is the trajectory module that they're working on that told it, and you got to think that had to be accurate to the nth degree, But at the end of the day, that's all it was, just a pile of wires soldered together that somebody. Well, there's a probably lost it now. But yeah, just if one of those wires is wrong, and they punch in a trajectory and the coordinates are out by even the slightest amount, who knows? They could flip upside down. They could do anything,
Yeah.
So, but that is what that guy's making a model of.
Right.
Well, effectively, it's a very, very similar technology. It's not quite the same, but it's pretty close. I don't know exactly what it's called the guidance computer, but I don't know exactly what the model was, but same principle.
Yeah.
But what was funny was it was purchased from NASA as scrap. Like NASA didn't want it. They scrapped it all as copper scrap. And these guys managed to buy it as scrap, and they're restoring it. And they've actually recovered data logs from the actual mission off this hardware.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Amazon has committed to a second renewable energy project in Australia, unveiling plans for a new 105 megawatt solar farm in New South Wales. The project is one of 5 new utility-scale solar energy projects across the world, which also includes 3 in the United States and 1 in China, aimed at offsetting the power used by its data centers and fulfillment centers worldwide. Amazon has pledged to use 80% renewable energy by 2024 and 100% renewable energy by 2030, and reach net carbon zero emissions by 2040. At 105 megawatts, the second Australian solar project will be larger than the first, which was 60 megawatt, with the capacity to generate 250,000 megawatt hours of clean energy every year. Amazon said this would be enough to power the equivalent of 40,000 average Australian homes. The first renewable project, which is expected to come online in 2021, will see Amazon buy 60 megawatts of power from Canadian Solar's Gunnedah Solar Farm in New South Wales. There is currently no time frame for the second renewable project. Amazon Web Services ANZ Commercial Sector Managing Director Adam Beavis said the new renewable project will allow more energy to be derived from natural renewable resources. Earlier this month, he said that lowering the footprint of AWS's data centers was a considerable focus. The company has a total of 91 renewable energy projects, including 31 utility-scale wind and solar projects across the world that are collectively capable of generating over 2,900 megawatts of electricity. The 5 new projects will add 615 megawatts to that amount. That's pretty cool.
That's a lot of power. That's a lot of solar panels.
Yeah. And they're getting better and more efficient all the time.
Yeah, well, I was reading an article last night. There's a company has just bought out 35%, I think it is, efficient panels. Normal panels are like 22%, so it's a pretty big jump.
Yeah.
And what it means is basically a panel that's the same size, or say, for people who've got, say, a 2 kilowatt system on your roof, you might have 8 panels. And what it means is you'll now have 5 panels, to do the same thing, so you can fit more on your roof or whatever.
Nice.
I just like what some of the companies are doing with the solar panels, because solar panels are available in different range of colours. So some of them are getting quite creative with their use of what they're doing.
8-bit graphics.
Yeah, they're making different diagrams and patterns and pandas and
more pandas and more pandas.
A lot of pandas. Mainly, I guess, predominantly because the panels are either grey or black, so it kind of leads itself to making pandas, I suppose. But It's
Or penguins.
yeah, you could do penguins, I guess.
Or nuns.
Flying nuns, maybe.
Could be. Who am I to say?
So, but yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm not going to get into the whole debate of whether or not solar panels are actually feasible options or not.
Yeah.
In terms of sustaining how much they make as
Save that
opposed
for
to how
another
much
show.
they do.
That's it for you.
Couple of quick ones. We're talking a couple of weeks ago about how the Australian government is getting in line with some of the other countries and getting data requests from other countries, making it easier. Well, aside from that, which isn't a thing that they've done yet, AFP has issued the United States with 98 telco data requests since 2014.
Gee.
So, since 2014, they've been requesting the 98 of them. 209 have been made in the past 5 years. That 98 is the ones that have been accepted. That they've actually made 209. So, how is this bill going to be any different? They're already doing it. If they want data from another country, they request it. I guess the only difference is it means they'll get it now and they won't have the option of rejecting it. I don't know, but it sort of seems like a bit of a
Where's the privacy gone?
a bit of a null and void sort of update to a law that is being misused anyway, because they're misusing the wiretap laws at the moment. That's the laws they're putting it under.
Yeah.
But this new one's going to be a whole, what's it called? The Cloud Act, Clarifying Lawful Overseas Use of Data Act. So
sounds like a backronym.
well, yeah, kind of. That is quite literally. But that's the thing. Like at the moment, they're using it via the wiretap legislation, saying that you can, that's what they're bringing it under. But I think that the novelty of that's worn off, so they've had to do this other thing.
Yep.
Mozilla, Twitter, and Reddit join forces in an effort to block the browsing data from warrantless access. So this is another thing we're talking about, where companies are going to be required to store data for 3 years, I believe, which in itself is impossible for most companies. But and that they're going to basically, the governments are going to be able to, or the courts are going to be able to go, hey, give me the data on this person, without any warrants, without any reason. So far, 7 internet companies have asked the US House to prohibit the warrantless collection of internet search browsing. Mozilla, Engine, Reddit, Reform Government Surveillance, Twitter, I2 Coalition, and Patreon have all asked for legislators to prohibit the warrantless collection. I get Patreon, I get I2 Coalition, I get Reform Government Surveillance, because I get Reddit, I get Engine, and I get Mozilla. What I don't get is Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter's data collection policies are vague at best, so I don't really understand why they're even... It doesn't make sense to me, basically, is what I'm saying, that Twitter would be blocking something like that when they've blatantly breached data collection laws multiple times anyway.
Right.
You'll notice Facebook hasn't got involved, YouTube hasn't got involved, like Google hasn't got involved. There's reasons for that, and I would have assumed Twitter would have been with that, but surprisingly not, which is interesting. And just a quick, actually, people might get a laugh out of this. I'll let Warlock explain this one, because this popped up on a mutual friend's feed the other day, and we thought it was quite funny.
That's his new NBN connection to his house. When he was a teenager, he had a BBS he ran from his bedroom with 21 lines into the house. Now, he's got ADSL on one of those lines now. The others are not being used. And TPG turned up to try and connect the NBN through any of those lines. Couldn't get a signal. Came back a week later, tried again, couldn't get a signal. So they got NBN Co to install yet another connection, and this is what NBN Co have come up with for his internet connection to the NBN network, and it's very dodgy looking, isn't it?
So apparently that's perfectly acceptable via NBN's policies, which
Yeah.
actually in no way surprises me. It's just going to be hilarious when you get more than like an inch of rain and that just becomes a water feature.
Yeah.
That's
near enough's good enough, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I just thought I'd talk that because I just thought that was funny because that's the
What
thing.
more
that
do you
happened.
want?
Yeah, I know. But quickly, Turla. They're a hacker group, so basically they're a Russian government-funded hacker group. They're well known. I won't bother reading the story too much, but what's quite interesting, they've been known for ransomware, for malware, for just general spying. They've collected data from the Pentagon and all sorts of stuff. But what they're recently doing is they're creating a virus that downloads antivirus logs from people's computers and then uploads that data to a Gmail account, and then they're using the built-in ability of Google and the Gmail account via the way it allows you to run Office docs and stuff like that, basically through spreadsheets, and they're pulling out all the valid information from all these emails. So they're learning where the weaknesses are within antivirus and firewall browsers and protections, so that they can find weaknesses and then obviously go through and access them that way. So as much as
email's helping them.
yeah, it's interesting. Like as much as it's okay, they're hacking people, whatever. I just love the fact that they're using basically the thing that everybody has on their computer, which is an antivirus. Well, most people have an antivirus log coming in via Gmail. Then they're downloading the virus that's infected your computer. Its sole job is to download that log file back to the Gmail, so that they can get data on how to access your computer around that antivirus. Oh yeah, it's both surprisingly, amazingly clever and also quite scary at the same time.
Very inventive.
So, because even a lot of the security, I love the fact they've called it Comrat. That's funny. But yeah, a lot of the experts are like, well, okay, we've seen a similar sort of thing through a more open platform like OneDrive or something like that can technically share public data. Like, it's not that uncommon for that to happen.
Yep.
But for the fact that it literally it literally uses Gmail as the data collection point. A lot of them are calling it actually quite a genius and really clever way of doing it, as scary as it is. So, but what's interesting, this particular virus or malware, I guess you call it, the Comrat malware. They've actually been using it since 2008 or 2007 was when it was released. 2008 is when it breached the U.S. military and the Pentagon got their data. So it's a very old piece of software that's obviously written quite well because it's still still going. So,
mad skills. Thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Heads show, broadcast weekly. We can be found at facebook.com/Aussie Tech Heads, twitter.com/Aussie Tech Heads, youtube.com/Aussie Tech Heads. For those on video, you can see it up there.
yeah, patreon.com/Aussie Tech Heads.
Now also at patreon.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Sign up for $4 a month, $10 a month, or from several other tiers. See the site for details. Email us Glenn, Will, or Warlock at aussietechheads.com.au. You can hear Aussie Tech Heads on aussietechradio.com, 24/7 back-to-back play of some of the best tech-related shows from around Australia and New Zealand. New shows are added each Friday. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See ya. Bye.